For Gary Knight, April 19th, 1995 started similar to others. Except that day, he called out of work.
My wife was a trial attorney, a civil rights trial attorney, and she had a case going on involving 4 of our police officers at that time. So I was scheduled to work the day of April 19th, and I had taken off because I wanted to go and watch her try the case at the federal courthouse.
He was in a rush to get to the federal courthouse downtown.
That was running me a little late. Her trial was supposed to start right at 9 a.m. And as I'm getting to the building I parked, there used to be a big parking lot just south and west of the Murrah building.
He passed strangers as he hurried to meet his wife.
I looked at my watch, noticed it was right at 9. A guy stopped me on the sidewalk right on the south side of the Murrah building and right in front of the federal courthouse, asked me what time it was. I remember looking at my watch, it was 9:01.
That moment to him, at the time, insignificant, now a moment etched in his memory and etched in stone, recognized by the Memorial Museum as the last moment of innocence for our nation.
I walked into the building, handed my firearm to the guard there, and Judge Purcell's courtroom was on the first floor, so right after I handed him the gun, I just walked in the courtroom and sat down. And just as I sat down, I felt the building shake.
Just yards away from the explosion.
It just kind of felt like the room moved, almost like you had somebody, if you're in a car, bump into the rear of your vehicle. It just shook for a minute, and then the place started to fill up with smoke.
Gary's whole world in that room with him.
My wife at the time who was trying the case was 5 months pregnant, and so I remember Judge Purcell hit his gavel and he said, "Ladies and gentlemen, I believe that was a bomb. Court is in recess."
As they fled, they started to realize something big was happening.
One of the distinct memories I have is the guy who was the guard there at the federal courthouse. He was still in his blazer and stuff, but he had blood all over his face from the glass being blown in. But he was just standing there very calmly, handing people their belongings.
Soon, the reality of how big set in.
One of the really stark memories I have of that day is when I was trying to get into the building. It was hard to do because everybody was pouring out of the building, and you're trying to go against foot traffic.
To this day, he'll never forget the faces and the names of the people he saw.
But I remember there was a woman outside, and she was hysterical, and she kept screaming, "My babies, my babies." And I'd taken the day off, so I was in plain clothes, but I remember asking her, I said, "What about your babies?" She just kept screaming, "My babies, my babies." Remember, her last name was Coverdale, and her kids had been killed in the blast.
His instinct to help.
When you see something like that, especially as someone who's a first responder, you want to do what you can to make the situation better. But it was really an overwhelming type of situation that I was facing.
He remembers how law enforcement sprung into action.
As they were coming out of there bloodied and broken, there were officers who would just stop them, put an injured person in their car and say, "Go to St. Anthony Hospital." And I'm sure numerous lives were saved that way because those people were so severely injured.
3 decades later, still serving in law enforcement as a public information officer for the Oklahoma City Police Department, reflecting on that day is still difficult.
I've heard we have a wonderful memorial. I had enough of that event the first day. I've never gone inside.
He isn't sure closure is possible.
I don't know what closure is for an event like this when you're talking about the deaths of numerous children and innocent people. It was a horrible day. And
all he asks is that we never forget.
Just remember. Just remember the events of that day, study the events of that day, because these type of events still happen around the world. And when you're thrust into the middle of a situation like this, it not only becomes much more personal for you, obviously, but you realize the toll it takes.
We share these stories with you year after year, each one unique and each one equally as important. We hope that you walk away with a better understanding of the events of that day, but also a renewed hope in that one thing will remain, and that's the Oklahoma Standard. Jordan Ryan, KOCO 5 News.